and gents, welcome to another edition of 5v4 Introduces. This week, I'm absolutely astounded to be joined by Waffle Plays, or Waffle Plays Twitch, depending on where you view your content, right?
This is true.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really, really good, actually. Yeah, thank you for having me on this this podcast of yours. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm absolutely buzzing that you've joined. I've been a little bit nervous all day. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very flattering.
there's only been a couple of people where I'm kind of like, I'm really nervous for this one. Smooth Operator, who was the first one, and yourself. It's weird how you can build people up, can't you? And like, oh God, it's got to be good. This guy's coming on. Like,
well, I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I meet your expectations, so to say.
I'm sure you will. So I thought what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about kind of you growing up as a child, a little bit about streaming, a little bit about Glitch as well. We've spoken to one of the other founders,
okay, cool.
So it'll be interesting to kind of get another viewpoint.
For sure, yeah.
And then some bits about kind of life outside Twitch, because I know you've got a lot going on out of there as well. So for those that don't know, I know your time zone is like Pacific, so it's California time. So where did you grow
up? So I grew up in a town called Santa Cruz. It's along the coast. It's about, I want to say, like a half hour from San Jose. It's about 45 minutes to, actually, no, it's about an hour and a half from San Francisco. It's in this nice little nook. If you've ever seen people with those, here, I'm going to take these off because it's like very reflective. If you've ever seen those people with like the Santa Cruz skateboard brand, like sweatshirts, or it's like, that's my hometown. And it was very laid back, but also very, very conflicting in a lot of ways as to growing up there. You know, there's a huge diversity and separation and divide between like a hierarchy of people who are like very, very rich, and then people who are like basically homeless. Like their homeless population encompasses about, I think, 30 to 40% of the entire population of the county. So it's like it was very duplicitous in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah. So does it mirror kind of what's the homeless situation that's going on in LA? Because I know that's kind of getting worse, isn't it?
Yes. Oh yeah. Except for a long time, what would happen was that people from like officials from like Fresno or San Francisco would fill up like buses, like literal busloads, Greyhound busloads of individuals who were like pretty much about to like extremely mentally ill, and they've already exhausted their resources through the system, or they were like on their third strike and they're about to go to prison. And they would load them up on the bus and say, like, here's a one-way ticket. If we ever see you back here, we're going to throw you in jail, or like something. We're going to just pretty much throw you away. We're going to lock you up somewhere. And they have a lot of resources there in Santa Cruz that they're very good to their homeless and they're addicted, which they are. Like there are tons of programs there for at-risk youth and lots of programs there for people who may be addicted to an influence or whatever it might be. And so they would end up going there. And like, I remember there's one story where this dude had like sexually assaulted someone over in San Jose. And then instead of being like put in jail or anything, within 24 hours, he was caught again doing something very similar downtown Santa Cruz. And it was just one of those things where you're like, yeah, he was probably just picked up and dropped off, you know?
Yeah. It's stuff. Just pushing the problem around to different areas.
That's exactly right.
Oh man. So was that really prevalent when you were growing up as a child? Were you kind of witness to all the homeless side of things?
I was actually homeless for a long time. Yeah. So when I was a little kid, my mom had passed away when I was like 4.5, and my dad had actually gained full custody from my grandmother when I was 5. And then at that point, we moved back to Santa Cruz, and we had actually stayed in tents for 3 years. So we lived in tents for 3 years. And when I was a kid, of course, you're thinking like it's fun, right? Like it was actually kind of fun when I think back to it. I don't think back to it on like a negative perspective, because it was just like camping, right? Like having a good time. But from then on out, it was like we would get into an apartment, and then something would happen. We'd be homeless again, so on and so forth. So I was pretty much homeless off and on until I was about like 16, and then I was like in the foster care system until I was like 18.
Mhm.
And then yeah, like from then on out, I was pretty much self-sufficient for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely like, I'm gobsmacked. I guess now looking back on that time and being a dad yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of resonate with what it must have felt like for your dad in that situation.
Yes, yeah. My dad was also a very, very like on again, off again addict. It's like first it was alcoholism. Well, it was always kind of alcoholism, but it started with like major alcoholism back when he was like a construction worker in installation, and
Yeah.
and then it kind of like swayed more into like drug addiction and abuse as like he got more depressed and so on and so forth. And yeah,
Mhm.
it's trippy, you know, like as a father myself, the one thing that I've always had in my mind is that I want to just get a house that I own, because I want my kid to always be, or
Yeah.
kids to always be um focusing on their future, not focusing on like where they're going to be living, where they're going to be staying, you know, so on and so forth. And that is super important to me personally. But I mean, I've done a pretty good job of that so far. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty
Absolutely.
comfortable where I'm at.
Absolutely. So how did you sort of turn it around, or how did you stay on the right path? Because you see a lot of people that are in that situation will go
Mhm.
down the crime and drugs and all that route, which obviously you haven't done. So
Well,
how did
actually,
you ensure that happened?
full disclosure, I did go down that route. There was a point in time where I did like,
Oh,
you know,
really?
sell marijuana. So I was like huge in the party scene. I was downtown a lot, getting drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like 16, 17 at the time too. And all till I was about like, maybe I want to say like 19 or so, 20. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. You know, I want to think of my future. Went to school, you
Yeah.
know, got my associates for culinary and minored in business and such. You know, like I have
Mm-hmm.
things that I wanted to succeed in, but there was a time when I fell into that loop, right? But there are these days when you're sitting there and you're having fun, and then there's other days when you're sitting there and you're looking and observing, like when you start to get a little bit more sobered up off of this kind of like ideal or even this
Yeah.
drug. You start looking around and you see the look on some of the people's faces who have been doing it for years, and you're like, that they're gone, right? Like either they're gone because they're burned
Yeah.
out, or they're gone because that like their life sucks and they know it, and it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
rinse and repeat, and the only thing they're living for is what the next high at the end of the day, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting too. And for me personally, a lot of the stuff that helped me was I was, since I was a foster youth, I was able to access this thing called independent living or independent living program. And it was like a whole
Mm-hmm.
resource center where I could go and like learn about how to do my like basic adult shit, right? Like how to do your taxes and how to change a tire and like
Yeah.
registering a car, or how to fill out an apartment application or make a resume. Things that we should honestly be learning in school, but for some fucking reason we don't, you know? Like
Absolutely. Yeah. Stuff you'll actually use.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Instead of like, let's go over geometry 7 times. Like, we know fucking angles, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but
That's insane. Was there like a turning point, or like, how did you get from kind of going down the drugs and party scene to the other side?
so I was actually an EDM promoter for a long time for a company called Vital SC, who worked out of Santa Cruz through the Catalyst, and then moved their way over to San Francisco with big names like Stevie Aoki and Bass Nectar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there, I would also help host and organize other events, like after parties for these events, or late night parties for when there are no events. They're called renegades, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like we would go out in the middle of the woods, we'd set up some generators and some staging lights and a couple of booths, and we would get some local DJs to come out. And it was usually a really good time, right? People were
Yeah.
getting like drunk, they were getting a little, you know, partied out with their drugs, whatever it might be. But like for the most part, it was kind of like a family vibe, right? Like everybody was just hanging out, and it was like super cozy.
Mm-hmm.
But as time went on, I started noticing that some of the people that I was close with, they had very, very insidious, I guess would be the best way to put it, like ulterior motives. And like a lot of it was like taking advantage of women or trying to like
Mm-hmm.
steal things from people. And so like I kind of just I looked at that and I was like, this is not the crowd for me, right?
Yeah.
And started investing more of my time into things like cooking and my
Mhm.
and schooling, and at the time like my significant other, my ex. And so like, you know, it kind of just naturally shifted. I was very, very lucky because I've had a couple friends who had to go through like a savage OD, or they would
Yeah.
have to go through like getting kicked out of all their housing and losing all their friends. Like, no, for me, it was like, it was a pretty smooth transition. But the thing was, is after I stopped doing that, I started realizing like who my friends really were, because
Yeah.
people then, like, some people stuck around and hung out, but a lot of people were like, oh, you're not doing this anymore, your usefulness has now exhausted itself, right? Like,
Yeah.
bye. And it's like, okay, cool. You know, like, I've always been one to be either with my family or on my own, so
Mhm.
having to have people around constantly is not something that's a necessity, but it is a pleasure, right? Like, at least for me.
Yeah. No, you definitely it's definitely a way of separating kind of the true friends from the hangers on, if you like. And
Hmm.
when you want to change and get better, those that are the true friends will be the ones that are there literally
Yes,
helping you
exactly.
on that road, won't they?
Hmm. The
Um,
one people who won't turn their back on you just because you're leaving a certain kind of, I guess, like party scene would be the best way to put it. It's a
yeah,
group. It's like everybody has their own things they got to do, and people evolve, right? Like, it just happens.
absolutely. And everybody wants to make their lives that little bit better, and the true friends will be the ones that will help you along that road. So
That's exactly
um,
right.
do you find that that time, kind of the period of time sort of living in tents, and the other times like with the drugs and things, does that have an impact on you nowadays, or have you managed to kind of draw a
Yeah.
line under that?
Oh, no, for sure. Because for me, I've always had a somewhat of a good sense of like character as to like reading
Mhm.
people. But back then, I was so wrapped up in being liked, and so wrapped up in just having like a group of friends who always wanted me around, that I didn't really stop as much to
Yeah,
evaluate who they are. Nowadays, it's like I can still like I appreciate being liked. I appreciate when people want to like talk to me or hang out with me, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
But I can evaluate their character a little bit more and then politely go from there, right? Like, I don't want to be an ass, and I don't want to like just flat out be like, I don't like you, right? But if somebody doesn't resonate with me on that level, it's like I'll just, you know, slowly fade out. Simple as
Yeah,
put, right? Like, it's, but when it comes to streaming, like in direct correlation, the thing that I feel like really, really helped me was breaking my mold of knowing when to actually put your foot down. Because there was a point in
Mhm.
time when I was younger where, I mean, like, I would either be like, I would explode out of nowhere, right? Because I had a really bad temper because of just a
Yeah,
bunch of stuff that happened when I was a kid, you know, losing my mom, go be like my dad and all that stuff, like being an addict that he
yeah.
was, it built up a lot of resentment in me, right? So I was very angry. So if for instance, I remember I was at this party up at the Shoreline Amphitheater, and this dude had given one of my friends, who was a female, a drug, and he said that, oh, this is MDMA, this is like, you know, Molly, whatever it might be, like
Yeah.
something that she already was going to be taking. So then she took it, and it turned out to be something completely different, and she was freaking out. And I went over, and I didn't even ask him. I just grabbed his ass and I picked him up, and I just started beating the living shit out of the dude, you know, and like,
Yeah.
and then just dropped him on the ground and walked back through the crowd, and like after screaming in his face, and that was it. And nowadays probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably pull him aside and be like, what did you
Probably.
give her? You know, like how much did you give her? And then I'd probably take him to like security or something, and be like, hey, this dude just dosed my friend, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
and so not only did going through that experience give me both the pros of like connection, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm now able to be more of an empathic person because of not only the experience I've gone through with a lot of people, but
Yeah.
also because I could kind of compare and put myself in other people's shoes on a wide variety of range, right? Like, I've been the person who's lived in a tent, that slept on the ground outside, but I've also been
Yeah.
the person who's like lived in like a really, really nice house, or the person who's now living in like a 2-bedroom apartment by themselves, and like it's like cozy, right? And I actually have it furnished, and like it's the first time in my life I've ever had anything like this, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting, and makes me appreciate a lot more of where I've come from, or a lot more of what I have, because I've come from a certain kind of background, right? Like,
Yeah.
and same thing kind of goes with Twitch in general. When I first started Twitch, it was like almost a year ago, and for the first 3 or 4 months, I want to say 3 solid, because then after about 3, I started getting a little bit more like 1 or 2 people, and I streamed to no one, like no one at all. You can go onto my YouTube, which is like a graveyard pretty much at this point. I don't ever upload to it, but you could
Yeah.
go scroll to the very bottom and find my very first stream, and it's night and day from what you see nowadays, right? But 3 months of streaming to no one, 6 months to get affiliate. A lot of people nowadays wouldn't be that patient, right? I know if I were back when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old and I tried to do this whole thing and it took that long, I would have quit at like 2 months of streaming to no one. Like, this is not worth it, right? So it's very true what they say, where it's both the good things and the destructive things in your life along the way teach you and kind of mold you into who you are, like nature and nurture, right?
Yeah. Do you find you have your guard up a little bit more when you meet new people?
Wait, one more. Sorry.
Right. So do you find it takes you a little longer to open up to people, or are you pretty much now an open book? Like, I've been there and done it, and here it is, kind of thing, or are you a little bit more standoffish and until you get to know them?
Both, right? I'm an open. And it's weird to say that because you're like, what? How does it make sense? So I'm an open. But the best analogy would put it is, I'm an open book, but on the back side of the cover, underneath the cover, there's a whole other section that not a lot of people know about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so like I'm very, very open, and I'm very, very to the point. I'd rather be brutally honest than dick around and try to navigate around maybe some of these my feelings or somebody else's, because like in the end, it's like brutal honesty sometimes helps a lot. And of course, you know, you got to be like polite to a certain extent, but I mean, I'd rather be the person who's the like for instance, if the teacher's going on about something that doesn't make sense and everyone's sitting there in silence, I was the one guy who would raise their hand and be like, none of that made sense. Like, none of that made any sense at all. You need to restart from the beginning, please. Like, and so it's kind of the same way now, right? Like, so when I kind of lost a little bit of track of what I was saying, because I went back and I remembered exactly when this happened, but
you were talking about the section in the back that kind of reserved for your circle of trust, if you like.
Exactly. Being book. So obviously, like right off the bat, I didn't tell many people my name, right? And I still haven't. There are some people out there who do know my real name, know my full name, but like most people could just call me Waffle, right? Well, there's a reason for that. It's because I'm not really on the internet much, because before starting this whole thing, I had purged complete social media for the 4 years prior. So like a lot of this is still kind of new to me too, especially Twitter. Like that's a huge new like realm for me entirely. I'd never been on Twitter before August. And so like I want to be as real and genuine as possible, right? But obviously there are some things that I'm going to hold close to the vest, right? Like not a lot of people know, my name, or not a lot of people might know like my family's name, or certain kind of pieces of my background that I want to keep to myself. But like in all, it's like people know that I've been homeless, that I've lost family, that I suffer from depression, I have anxiety, I insomnia fueled it all. You know what I'm saying? I have 3 other brothers. I come from Santa Cruz. Like I'm pretty like open for the most part. It's just there are some things obviously I keep reserved, because I would rather wait to know if these individuals or the people who might come forth to me are going to hold like my personal effects or my personal information at a high respect, and maybe not just tell the world, right? Like, and not to say that I'm like in any shape, way, or form big enough to have any kind of influence on anyone past the circle of people who I really like relate to or talk to like on a deep level. But it's just one of those things that, I mean, I'm not going to just go around and be like, here's my social security number, and, like, and so on and so forth.
So going back to when you said you streamed for kind of a few months to nobody, I think most people will know what that's like. What kept you going?
Ironically, my ex. She was the one who wanted me to start streaming in the first place, wanted me to be a YouTube content creator, because she knew that my personality and my charisma everywhere I went kind of like attracted people, right? It actually was one of the reasons why like we had a lot of issues in our relationship throughout the like 9 years we were together, because she would assume that I was like having sex with one of the managers at the work at my job or something like that, because I was very open and able to talk to them like as a individual, as human to human, rather than like going up and being like, oh, Mr. or Mrs., like I whenever I see a person, it doesn't matter what your title is, you're still a fucking person to me. So I'm going to approach you just like that, right? Like, just because that's the same way I would want them to approach me. So, and that like, so she knew that my personality was very keen for getting along with multiple people, especially with big groups. So she was like, oh, so maybe you should try to do YouTube. Wasn't a huge fan of YouTube. And on top of that, when I think of YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook gaming, which are like the three big platforms for gaming on or creating content.
Yeah.
YouTube is like jumping into the ocean. Twitch is like jumping into a pool, and Facebook is like trying to stick your foot in a bucket of water. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so,
yeah.
Facebook's too small, really crowded. Twitch is like pretty perfect, right? And then YouTube's like, you're gonna get lost. You might get lost or swept away, right? Like you're a drop in a literal ocean. So after doing Twitch and being and trying to, you know, make content on Twitch, but then get the recording and put it on YouTube, and I just found that there was a lot of time being consumed into it, and on top of that, not having any viewership was exhausting. But she would always say like, no, just keep pushing, keep going, and it's like, you're right, you know, you're right. But there was also one individual who I reached out to, like 15 people in all, both big streamers and small streamers who I admired just by like how they carried themselves on Twitter, how they carried themselves in content that I've seen in the past. And there's one guy who actually reached out. His name was Guess Who's Gaming. And this guy reached out to me reached back to me when I was asking, like, you know, I see that you're doing this whole stream thing. I've never even done this, and I'm very intimidated by it. Like, what's your suggestion here? Like, what would you have to say to a new streamer? And it's always resonated with me today. And it's this whole thing is not like a race, right? You're not going to blow up and gain success overnight. You may not even blow up and gain success in the next 3 months. But if you do, don't take advantage of it. Take it as a gift, right? Like cherish it, like respect it, because if you do take advantage of it, it's going to fall apart. And of course, he didn't say all this like I'm kind of ad-libbing here a little bit. It's not like a direct quote, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, if I've seen a lot of people have this happen too, and both close friends of mine that I've made on Twitch and people that I see from a distance, right? Because I do a lot of promoting and stuff for other individuals, and they will gain affiliate in like a week, 2 weeks, a month. And it's like, whoa, that's fucking insane. And they'll have all this hype and then deflate. And then they're super depressed about it. And they're wondering, what the fuck did I do? Is it me? Is it my content? Do I need to upgrade?
It's hard to know what to push for after affiliate, isn't it?
And that's
There's
the thing.
Such a big gap.
But that's the thing is, don't set goals towards checkpoints of affiliation, partnership, ambassadorship, or whatever it might be. Set goals towards. For me, it was like, my original goals were pipe dream. I wanted to make affiliate in a week or 2. I wanted to make partner in 6 months. No way in fucking hell that's ever happening. And then make start like selling a mass amount of merch by like 8 months into a year. No, like the one thing I've really achieved was get affiliate. And I didn't do that in 2 weeks. I did that fucking 6 months, you know? And so, and after when the new year started and I was kind of doing the whole resolution, right? Like being like, oh yeah, these are my goals for the year. I set out some pretty basic stuff that I knew that I could probably get in a year, but I was blown away to hit a lot of these goals in like the first 2 months of the year, right? 3 months of the year. It totally shocked me. It still does today. And that's gain 1,000 followers on Twitch. I'm at 1.2 right now. Gain 1,000 followers on Twitter. I'm almost at 2,000 followers on Twitter. Try to fix my YouTube. That didn't happen. Try to get 500 subs on YouTube. Again, didn't fix my YouTube, so that's not going to happen. And then the other one, the other one was 25 subs for the year, right? I'm not going to just like shout out how many I have, but I currently have much more than 25 subs. I'll tell you that much. And then at least try to make 2 pieces of merch and sell. And I've made about 4 pieces of merch, but only 2 pieces have been successful because the hats from the company that I'm making my stuff in, they ran out of fabric or something like that. So we had to go back to the drawing board. But out of all these goals, only 2 of them have not really been knocked out, and there's still time in the year, right? Like, and that's how I feel it is that
there's loads of time.
And that's how I try to tell people, is that just because you're maybe on a downfall now, it does not mean that you might not come up tomorrow, the next week. There's peaks and valleys in everything in life, right? You might be in a valley, but guess what? Next week might be a peak. And that happened to me a couple weeks ago, right? There, when Twitch was going through that whole bot swarm thing, I think everybody felt it. There's 2 weeks there where like everyone's viewership just dropped, like dramatically dropped. And it could be from the bot glitching, swarm, whatever you might want to call it. It could be from people going back to work, right? Vaccinations are being rolled out more and more, yada, yada, yada. It's like life is going to start to resume again here soon in the next maybe year, hopefully to normalcy. And when that happens, it's going to be very interesting to see the zeitgeist and the influx of Twitch there too, right? Like you're gonna see people drop it off like crazy. You're gonna see people not wanting to do it anymore as a streamer because they have other stuff going on outside, right? Like it's going to be cutting both ways. And recently, that's what's been hitting in like the last month. I call it streamer fatigue on both levels, right? Streamer and viewer fatigue, because you have people who feel like then they're obligated to spend their time on Twitch. And there's no obligation to anything other than the things that make you happy and the things that gain you success in life, right? So, and I try to tell people, and including myself, like you might have a couple days where your like viewership drops dramatically, but just keep going. Turn the viewer counter off. That's what I did as well. I took that advice from a bunch of my friends, and just keep pushing, you know, because like that's all you could really do.
Yeah, I mean, and I suppose the only thing I would add to that is if you need a break, take it. Like, I got to a point where as soon as I started gaming, I'm like, right, I need to stream. And I'm like, well, why? Like, so now I'm at a point where kind of I'll stream maybe kind of once every other day or every 2 or 3 days. To kind of think I don't need to be doing that every day. Like it shouldn't be like I'm obligated to turn the camera on. I'll still jump on and play some games with friends and support their streams, but I don't always need to be the one behind the camera. I can be kind of lounging on the sofa in the background, kind of chilling out and just having that break.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's why I like collaborations too, right? Yeah. Like I love collaborations where I'll be playing like Fortnite or Apex or something with someone else or Among Us, and I'm just a fly on the wall, right? Like I'm just another name on the list of people in the Discord who are talking. I love that shit because for me, as you know, there's technological shit that goes into this as well, right? You have to prep your cameras, you have to prep your so on and so forth. You have to prep yourself. You're about to be on essentially like a TV version of entertainment to X amount of people. It could be 7 people, it could be 45 people. It doesn't matter. You like, I believe in looking presentable, right? Like,
and it's so draining as well, isn't it? Being the best version of you.
Yes.
Like for however many hours you're at it, you've got to be up there for the same person that comes in 5 minutes from the end to the person that's been there from 5 minutes from the beginning.
And that's the thing too, is that I learned very quickly that I am not the kind of person who can fake my personality at all. So like what you see on camera is what you're going to get in person. You know what I'm saying? If something gets me audibly mad, I will get mad on stream. Like I will. like for instance, there was somebody who came in the other day and he kept spamming this emote that was like a nut button, right? Like a button that you press that says nut on it. And when I first saw it, I was like, hilarious, right? Like I'm lewd and crude and I could be inappropriate, but I could also be very respectful and articulate as well. And when I saw that, I got a little chuckle from it. But then the guy kept going and kept incorporating it in very inappropriate ways. And there were I'm not, this isn't a brag, but I have usually a lot of women in my chat, right? Like they feel very comfortable. They're there. They like talking to me. They like talking to each other. They like seeing the content.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I like having diversity on all spectrums. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very huge supporter of the LGBTQ community, not to the point where I'm like advocating on like mass level or anything, but I support, right? And also on top of that, I'm a very huge supporter of everyone being comfortable, no matter who you are, no matter what race you are, sex, who you prefer, whatever it might be, how you'd identify, you know?
Absolutely.
And so when somebody's doing something like that, it's like I at first I was like, this is kind of funny. And then after that, the dude was like, oh, I'm going to go leave to this other stream to go do it there. And I'm like, And then he came back, he's like, I got banned from them. And I was like, ooh, like in my head, like, no, chief, like red flags going up, you know?
Yeah, it's not something to be
yeah.
Yeah, that's not something to be bragging about.
At
Like,
all, right?
yeah.
Like, so then after that, he kept going, and I was like, look, dude, stop. And then luckily I have some like really good mods who come and friends who come through, and they were there. And when one of them,
they make such a difference.
Yeah, one of them, she was just like texting me like, if he keeps going, I'm gonna time his ass out or ban him. Like, I don't know. Like, I know that you haven't regarded on it. And then at that point I remarked and was like, yo, you know, you can't, you gotta stop. And then, you know, but either way, like that's how I'm gonna be in person too. Like if somebody was walking in and out of my house saying like some nut joke out like over and over again, and I had like a house full of guests, I mean, I'd probably be a little bit more inclined right off the bat to like cut it out. But at the same time, it's like I'm still gonna be polite about it the same way I'm on stream. I try to be very transversable. I don't know. I try to be the same way on screen that I am in person, because I mean, I want to be as genuine as possible, but I get what you're saying. There are some people who I've talked to who are like, yeah, I'm playing a game and it's really pissing me off and I want to freak out and I can't because I'm on the stream. And it's like, I understand that completely, right? Like there's a level of composure that we all have to keep, so that we're not like scaring anyone or we're not like killing people, or you know, whatever it might be. It's like you know, I'm not just gonna sit here and
that's not
shit.
fake. Like, yeah, that's not fake. I mean, that's just kind of what you do kind of in the supermarket or something like that.
Yes,
you get stuck behind somebody who's having a chat. You wouldn't go ape shit in the middle of like the supermarket aisle.
Exactly.
So why would you go ape shit on stream? Like it, and it's still exactly you. Right. You're just kind of keeping a bit of a lid on it.
That's actually a really good analogy too. That's a really good analogy, because like it's kind of true. It's kind of true. Like it's one big supermarket. You don't know who's coming in and out. You know, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good analogy for it. And it's true. You know, you want to be composed, but you also want to be yourself.
Yeah. I've got to ask, so where on earth do you get all of your time from? Because you're a dad, a streamer, you have the Waffle supports Twitter and that side of things. Yes. You make overlays and emotes for people. How do you fit it all in and still smile and be awake on camera? Like
well, because I have insomnia, right? And because I'm kind of a night owl, I usually only sleep about 5 hours a day.
Right.
So I have a lot of time. And then on top of that, I'm a dad, but I'm only a dad kind of part-time right now, because I have a week on where my daughter's with me, and that's usually when I'm on my week 2 schedule, right? Where it's like 8 p.m. night times, because I want to spend as much time with her as possible, right? And then I have my week 1 schedule, which is like right now, where I'm going to be going at 2 p.m. And so on my week 1 schedule, when she's not here, I could get a lot of stuff done, and I could also help a little bit more. But when she is here, I mean, I'm not currently working. I'm on furlough technically, but unemployment because of COVID. You know, the restaurant I used to work at, I don't even know if they exist. I think they just do catering now, or some like special events or something like that. But so I have a lot of time on my hands in general, which is another reason why I do what I do when it comes to like free emotes, free overlays, because I don't like, if I can save a new streamer like $30-$40 and a headache of having to think of when am I going to get this, from like Joe Blow over here who may just copy and paste a bunch of stuff and recolor it and then send it over. It's like, I'm going to do that. Right. And people get really, really tripped out about that too. They're like, wait, this is free? No, I'm going to pay you. I'm like, no, I'm not. Even if you were to somehow give me your money, somehow, I will then go back into your stream and just throw it back at you a bit. Like, I'm not going to take your fucking money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to happen because I like doing it. It's a hobby of mine. And on top of that, it's helping people, right? Like I'm really big on helping people and trying to, as I grow, push as many people to grow as I possibly can, right? Even if it's just passive little things like my Sunday promotion tweets where it's like, I just get like 40 or 50 different streamers and I go through and I get their Twitter handles and their Twitch handles, throw it in there so that they can all mingle with each other. And then people who see the post can also post their stuff and then go through and follow. And it just becomes like an ecosystem. And all these people are from very, very different corners of the Twitch, like the community, right? Like you have people who are from the UK. You have people who are from, there are a couple people I'm pretty sure who are like from China and India and stuff like that, right? Like, although I don't know if
Yeah.
you could stream China. I digress. From like different countries all over the world, including, you know, here at home in the US. And so if I can bring someone like, for instance, my buddy House of Clutch, super cool dude, lives here in the United States. And then there's another really good streamer friend of mine named Jaja Mate, right? UK streamer. They didn't know of each other. And then one day, you know, like I put them both on the same post, and then next thing you know, they're interacting. He's rating her. They're like, they have like kind of like an open, kind of friendly communication.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that directly because of me, but it definitely helped, right? Like it definitely helped to put them like face to face to each other, and then have them interact how they want to. And so like that's these things I genuinely try to do and believe, because I would have wanted somebody to do that when I first started, right? Like if somebody could have helped me when I was starting, and like and I don't have to go through all the stuff I did, it's like it would have been nice, like really, really nice.
Yeah.
So I do that the same thing, right? Like at least I try to.
It makes such a difference for people. Yeah, man, it makes such a difference for people. It's a total minefield when you start, and trying to find graphic designers who, one, are going to be good, two, aren't just going to give you the same stuff they gave somebody else but a different color.
Exactly.
And being able to have some sort of a say in how you want your stream to look, because you've created kind of your own brand, if you like. You've got the waffle logo, you've got the merch, and it's kind of gradually building. And I guess everybody wants to get to that point, but you need people you can trust to help along the way, I suppose.
And it's not only that too, but like I try to help with logistical stuff too. Like one of the biggest things that I've done to give back to the community is help people with their OBS, right? I'll go into a stream and like the OBS is like glitching out, something shuts down, and the first question I ask is, are you on Streamlabs? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, that's why this whole thing's a catastrophe. People like Pokimane and Ninja, really, like they frustrate me, because they're these huge streamers who have a lot of clout, and they pull on the community, and then they tout something like a Streamlabs, which is not good. It's not a good OBS. You know, it uses more of your computer, of your CPU. It makes you pay for a membership to use really anything. The overlays are not free, but they're easier to implement, you know. And then you go over to Stream Elements, and it's like it's way better on your CPU. You could stream up, while if you're on Streamlabs, you can only stream at like it was telling me I can only stream at 480. I'm on Stream Elements, I stream at 1080p 60, you know. So it's sometimes it's also about settings too. Like I've had a lot of people who are like, I am on Stream Elements, like what's going on? And I sit there and I watch for a little bit, and I see that they're dropping frames. Okay, what's your KBS set at? It's set at 3,000. Okay, that's probably why. What is your advanced encoder setting on? No, that's probably why. Like there are a couple different things that are very easy fixes that took me a very, very long time to figure out myself, because I had to fall on my face. And that's the only reason why I even recognize it, is because, oh, I've been there. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've had that fucking, I've stubbed my toe on that one, right? And like for me, like I can make overlays all day and help people that way, but I really like giving back in the way where I can actually improve the stream on on another level, right? Like if your OBS gets fixed and you could go from streaming at 480 to 1080p from one day to the next, somebody's going to be on there one day and be like, ooh, I mean, he's a cool dude, but his stream doesn't look great. And then they come the next day and they're like, whoa, that's night and day. Yeah, like night and day. And then there you go, you know?
Yeah. Sounds good. I mean, a lot of the stuff you mentioned there, apart from the 1080p and so that, most of it went. So as soon as I get to the PC thing, I know exactly where I'm going.
Yes, please contact me. Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
I don't know where I'm starting. Well, I've turned it on. And we can go from here.
Yeah, right. Turn the PC on. Help. No, but so and like I'll go as far as the Discord people too. Like I could sit there and try to type it out all day, but like you just said, just right here, when I'm telling you this, you're like, question marks are popping up for a lot of people. They did for me, right? When I was going through these settings, I was like, holy shit, you know, what does any of this mean? It's like reading in Braille, you know, like you don't understand, but you know, trial and error, looking up a lot of different videos, you learn. And so for me, Discord has helped a lot with that, because I could screen share someone and just do a settings checklist and match them to my settings, and then it usually works out. every single time, like every single time. So for me, like I may sit here and I may recite back like these things that I do know, but in my brain, I just learned a lot of this stuff like less than 6 months ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like very, very recently. So it's just transference of knowledge at that point, right? Copy and paste.
Yeah, exactly. So just quickly, we talked to Paige Senpai last week and we got one founder's view on Glitch.
Yes.
So she gave us from her point of view kind of what it was. And you founded it with Paige Senpai and Salvation 767.
That is correct. Yes.
How would you assess the start for Glitch? Because it's still very new.
Yes, we are still very new. And actually currently, because it seems that Sal is having something going on in his life, we've kind of put a pause. And on top of that, a lot of other people as well. I've had some stuff going on in my life, a couple of the other members.
Yeah.
We've put a pause on like community events and really like keeping up with like our Twitter and such, so on and so forth, because we want to get our like kind of the house in order before we keep progressing. But in all,
right.
the idea and the ideal of it is that we wanted to try to build a group in general that can not only do a lot of things that I'm doing, right, with helping other small streamers do like a plethora of different things. You don't have to sit there and make people overlays or tech support, but helping, right? Like trying to push and promote as much as we can. You can go and pick a patch of berries by yourself in 20 minutes, or you can get 20 other people to help you pick that thing in 5, right? Like it's kind of the same goal when it comes to helping people in the small streamer community. And that was like our base ideal. But long term, we wanted to be a group kind of like something like Rooster Teeth or Kind of Funny or Funhouse, where if you haven't heard of any of these names, they all dabble in multimedia. So they stream on Twitter or Twitch, but they also will upload a lot of their content to YouTube or to a podcast, podcasting service like Spotify. And they don't just do gaming. And each individual member isn't just dignified by Kind of Funny. You know, you have like your Andy Cortez, you have your Snowbike Mike, you have your Greg Miller. All of them are individuals as their own, but as a group, they come together and they do their thing as well. That is kind of what we want to end up doing eventually through podcasting and through charity events and so on and so forth, where we're not only pushing ourselves to grow and be bigger, but also helping not only the community, but helping on a greater stance, right? Like this month, hopefully if we get our organization together a little bit here, because again, a lot of us have been going through some stuff, so we kind of need to respect that as well, right? You don't want to push people to get out, push people to put something that is supposed to be fun, right? And comfortable, to make it uncomfortable, to force them to do it because they have something going on in their life. And like, I'm a huge believer in that. Like, I really am.
Absolutely.
So if, I would rather take a break for 3 weeks and, you know, everybody get their head on, come on back fresh. But what I wanted to do, and a lot of us want to do, was do some charity event for a week long duration between all of our streams, where we would give back to something like NAMI or like the Trevor Project that is based around mental health. Because if you didn't know, this month is actually considered Mental Health Month. And so Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes. So, and I, if, as you might know, I'm a very huge advocate of mental health. I do my mental health streams twice a week, every other week. I'm a huge advocate in people speaking about like what's going on in their mind. If they need to talk to me, I will go to them. Like if I see someone posting some stuff on Twitter, or I go into their stream and they're having a bad day, I don't even ask. I just go right to them and I'm like, hey, are you okay? If you need to talk to someone, come talk to me. Right. Cause like, people need that. They need that. Like I need that. And I get that from so many people now when I wish I could have like a long time ago. And so if I could help some people with that too, I'm more than down. Same thing when it comes to fundraising for mental health in general and doing the mental health nights. The origin of the mental health nights in the first place was from 2 things. One, I noticed a lot of people going kind of like in a funky motion with just really Twitter posts. Like that was a big way I was seeing it. Like one day somebody would just post like, I'm not feeling good today. And then the next day they're like, I might quit streaming. And then the next day after that, they're like, you know what? It's like life has been really hollow. And I'm like, okay, red flags like for fucking days, right?
That happens a lot on different
people. It happened to a lot of different people all around the same time. And then around that same time too, you know, I had my own stuff going on with my ex and it was hitting me in waves. So I was like, fuck it, you know, we're going to do a mental health nights. We're going to start out by playing games that are based around mental health, different mental health issues. We played through Rhyme. We played through Inmost. We were going to play through a couple others, but then it kind of turned into like an art stream mental health night kind of thing where we would sit there and I would do digital art by tapestrying together different stuff and editing and warping of like the effects on it. And they would be themed after, you know, the topic at the of that day. Like the first one we did of that was based in anxiety. And that was actually, it was a really, really, really comforting stream, right?
Yeah. That sounds brilliant.
And as somebody who suffers from anxiety, yeah, it was something that I could really attach to. So yeah, it's when it comes to Glitch though, and all, we want to influence and also grow ourselves in a way that it's not like I'm trying to like revolutionize anything or anything like that, but grow in a way that's both unique but constructive, right? If that makes sense. Like the whole idea is to end up being a multimedia group, multimedia foundation, whatever you want to call it. But right now we're just bringing together a bunch of like-minded streamer individuals who can not only help the small streamer community around them, but maybe they could help and resource the people within the group as well. We've had a lot of interaction between different Glitch members from day one, people going to each other's streams. Next thing you know, you have like Gap and Jenna rating each other back and forth. You have PP now rating Cardboard. You have these people who may not have been super connected. Now they're connecting on like another level because they're part of this group. But at the same breath, we don't want to have any kind of like semblance of elitism either. Obviously, a team, a group is just that. It's a team or a group. There is some form of exclusivity because there are people that are like-minded who fit the role, right? And just like with a job or like almost anything else in life. But we don't want it to feel like people are like, oh, they think they're better than us. No. Like we said to every single person that we've interviewed and brought in so far, if you tomorrow and if you 5v4 were part of a Glitch and tomorrow 5v4 was like in lights across Twitter or Twitch and Twitter and shit, you got 10,000 followers, you're getting 1,000 viewers per stream, and you're like, oh, Glitch is too small, dude, take the fuck off, right? Like there's no ceiling. Like we're not trying to suppress anything. We're not trying to hold anyone's IP back or anything like that. Everybody's an individual on their own. We just want to help, right? Like we just want to progress numbers, right? Not only ourselves. Exactly. And so that's kind of the huge ideal behind Twit or Glitch and like where we're at currently. We've had a couple different things happen where it comes as far as like events, so to say, but like nothing super serious. We had like our Glitch group stream, which was like really, really fun. We played Among Us and we were able to bring different people and groups from everybody's like part of the community into one stream on the Gap Artist stream. It was fantastic. We had a pretty huge turnout, a lot of people coming through, great time. And then before after that, we tried to experiment with something like a stream schedule, right? So like in one day we'd set it up to where this person streams and then after them, they raid this person. And then after them, they raid this person and so on and so forth.
Like
so
streamathon
it's planned
thing,
content,
right?
Planned content all day. And so both of those things worked out very well. And I'm really hoping to get back on and implementing that as soon as, you know, everybody's back kind of with their bearings.
Yeah.
But it's one of these things that it's wild, right? Like I never would have thought that any of this would have happened in a million years, let alone like something like within a couple months of me getting affiliated or something like that, right? Like it's very it was a very huge honor to like be able to be a part of something like this.
Right.
It really has. It really has.
Brilliant. And one last thing on Glitch. So you talked about Sal and Paige Senpai. So how is the relationship between the three of you? Kind of what's the dynamic like?
Oh, okay. So we're all pretty good friends. Sal and I are really good friends. We actually met not even that long ago, to be honest. I met Sal through one of those like post your link Twitter accounts where it's like kind of like my Waffle support Twitter account, but like on a bigger scale. Me and him would post on there all the time. We would both like our stuff. And then at one point, like I saw that he was I followed him on Twitter or Twitch, saw that he was streaming, hopped into his chat, was like, this guy's fucking awesome. Kind of just hit it off from there, right? And actually him and the people in the chat helped me get to affiliate as well, which was a lot for me. I was very appreciative. With Paige, I met her through Sal. She came into Sal's chat one day, and then like we kind of just started hitting it off. Me and her have very coexisting personalities. She's an absolute sweetheart. And then I had the actual pleasure of going and visiting her, Stormfrog, Wham Bam Sam I Am, Screws in Texas, Cup Them Capes, and Lauren Clary, as well as Squareside over in Texas when I went to go visit them like a month ago now, I believe. Yeah, and so it was like a streamer roundtable at one point. We had all these streamers kicking it and just hanging out. And it was a trip, it totally blew my mind, because it's like, wow, I just met these people like X amount of months ago, and here I am like eating dinner with them and shit.
It's fantastic.
But it's fucking awesome. So from there, when it was, Sal originally came to me like a long, like I want to say like 3 or 4 months ago, and was like, hey man, I know, because I had mentioned to him like, yeah, I have bigger goals than just getting affiliate or partner. I want to start a media group, right? Like that was like, that's my dream, is starting a media group. And he was like, oh, that's a smart idea. I was like, yeah, but first I got to start with getting into a team or making a team and then growing from there. Right. I have a lot of experience when it comes to business and social interaction, but I don't have a lot of experience with growing a team or being part of something like that. So I kind of need to gain my bearings. Well, I was going to join this team called Team Compass, Team North Star. They kind of switched their names around a lot, but then Sal came to me and was like, hey, yo, like, let's do this, right? Like, let's get some people for founders. Let's make this thing happen. And I'm like, yes, right. And we started out with actually a decent group of founders. And then as we pretty much went through, we found that like, maybe this person had a conflict of interest financially, like they're actually financially invested in another team, or like this person couldn't, possibly be there for like half the stuff that we would require a founder to be there for, whatever it might be. So it ended up with me and Paige and Sal. And honestly, it's kind of really nice that way, because we're able to get decisions done really quickly. We all coexist very well.
Yeah.
I'm a very dominated personality when talking to people. I kind of run over some people sometimes. Sal is like a good middle ground where like he will talk, but he also allows people to talk quite a bit. And then Paige listens, like she listens, and she'll sit there and keenly listen until she has something really important to say. And then she'll bring it up or tell us like what you're saying is wrong, and like, so it's very, very nice to have all three of us in there, because we all three bring to table not only usefulness in our own ways, but just a personality type that's not going to be a bunch of yes men following each other blindly, right? Like,
you compliment each other.
If I'm saying something wrong, they'll both call me out. If one of them saying something wrong, I'll call them out immediately. And like, you kind of need that, right? Like, you really do. You need people to just balance you out rather than just going with the flow all the time. Like, so yeah, I'm actually very proud to be part of that founder group with those three or those two on like a lot of levels, because they're really good friends of mine. And then on top of that, it's like, I feel like now we're kind of like grown closer in a lot of ways. But at the same breath, everybody's been busy as shit. You know what I'm saying? Like there's this point in time where
back to normal, isn't it? Like,
everyone's getting busy. So I've noticed that like even like it's hard to keep in communication with a lot of people nowadays. For great length.
But no, it seems like you're onto a brilliant thing. You've got two other great founders. You all complement each other very well. The people you've recruited, I know Gap Runner really well. We've had him on the podcast before, and we chat quite a bit anyway. And he's such a good guy.
He really is.
Guys as well. I've kind of seen a few. I haven't had a chance to go into everybody's, but they all have that likability about them. So I think you're definitely onto a really good thing with that.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So just before, I've got a couple of questions at the end to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. But before we touch on that, we touched on before, you're a girl dad. What type of dad are you? I'm a girl dad myself. I've got one of each as well. So
you do? Oh, that's so fucking cool. Hell yeah, dude.
So I've got one of each of my own, and then my partner has one from a previous relationship, so she's kind of the older one, so technically 3, but yeah, I know what it's like being a girl dad, and I know the things that I think for the future.
Oh
How
yeah.
are you finding it?
You know, it's weird because when I first heard that my ex was pregnant, the first thing that came to my head was like, I want a boy. I want a boy. I want a boy, right? Like I really want a boy. I'm one of 4 brothers, right? I was raised with a lot of boys, a lot of rough housing, you know. But then when I learned that that I was gonna have a baby girl, I at first was like, you know, kind of have that awe. But then after a little bit, you warm up to the fact where it's like, okay, well, I mean, I'm gonna love them regardless, right? Boy, girl, you know, whatever it might be, I'm gonna love them regardless. So that's kind of where I came to it. And now I like honestly, if I were to have another girl, I'd be totally fine with it because she's taught me in the 1 year or a little bit over a year that she's been alive more patience than any dude has ever taught me in my entire lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So, and she's not even like, she's barely 1. And like, I absolutely adore her. I think she's beautiful. I think she's extremely smart. She's extremely active. She's manipulative already. And she's barely over 1 year old. You know what I'm saying? She's just extremely adorable. She already has a lot of my personality. And she looks a lot like her mom though. And, yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like being a girl dad, I guess, so to say, or a dad of a girl, for me, I don't have any reference to having being a father of a son, but I did help kind of raise my baby brother, the youngest one, because he was like, when he was born, I was like 10, I think, 11, like, around there. So I kind of got to experience him as a baby and help with a lot of that stuff, like changing diapers or, you know, like helping make formula bottles or whatever it might be.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff wasn't super foreign. It was just like nowadays, the one thing that I think of, and I've always been this way because I've been in very, very high respect of women in general, is like her future, right? Like what future is she going to grow up in? And I'm glad that in a lot of ways, modern day society is progressing towards like accepting that women are equal as men because they are, right? Like, and so it's nice that we're kind of we're going in the right direction, but there's a long way to go, right? For like in everything. And so I'm hopeful for her future, but I'm also kind of like intimidated by it, if that makes sense. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, being a father of a girl as well. And so it's a strange world we live in. And so I'm hoping that if she could grow up and have a better childhood than I did, be it a girl or a boy, I have done my job as a father. If I could protect her from people who are trying to hurt her, be it a girl or a boy, I have done my job as a father. But other than that, I'm a very firm believer in, no matter what gender or sex or however they identify, is let them grow how they're going to grow, right? Like us as parents, it's almost like we're like the keeper of a garden, right? You're not going to go into the garden every single day and like dig up and check the roots all the time. You got to let the fucking garden grow, right? You got to let it like do its thing. You got to walk away after you water it, come back when you need to trim up a couple things that might be dead. But for the most part, like leave it the hell alone, right? Like it's kind of what happens a lot with children too. I mean, when they're babies, obviously you're more hands-on because they're like dodo birds. They're always trying to kill themselves over something. I swear, like stick their fingers in the wall socket, you know, eating this metal object.
They find
so it's like but as they get older, it's like, you know, you got to just let them have that space. You got to, like, as they take it, let them have it, but obviously within reason. And it's for the most part though, being a dad of a baby girl has taught me extreme patience and how to keep my cool, like amongst everything else, because I'm not going to sit there and blow up on my baby girl, you know, like
no, absolutely not. I think the one thing I having so my son's 9 and my daughter's 7, and the one thing I've told them, they're kind of having a lot of different interests now. So my son's gone from soccer to Star Wars to Minecraft to bird watching.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it's kind of like letting them know, just because not everybody's doing that it's fine. Like weird's good. It makes you different, and if you're passionate about something, go and do it. Like I've never been bird watching in my life, but we'll go on days out where we're kind of, oh, let's go and here's some binoculars, let's go and see what we can see. That's and cool. Stuff like that. So the only thing I've tried to understand is be you. If you're interested in things that are different to others, that's good. That makes you interested. That's exactly Don't feel like you need to be the same as somebody else. Like, but there's definitely something special about a relationship between a little girl and her dad. Like there's just that little extra thing. And I don't know whether it's kind of when you see the videos of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi and that relationship they had, there's a lot of things that I can see in myself and my little girl. Like she'll sit on me, around me, constantly, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
For reals. No, for reals. And like that's yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like my daughter, if I'm sitting on the couch and she's running around her playpen area or wherever, she'll come over and she just like grabs my leg and rests her head right on my lap. And I'm like, oh, like you're just a bundle of joy, you know? And like it tears you up too. Like there have been points in time where like she's not here. And I like the other day I lay down in bed and I like one of her little half onesies was in bed and like something in my mind was just like, smell it. You know what I'm saying? So I like took it and I smelled it and she smelled just like her. And I started tearing up because I'm like, fuck, dude, like I miss my daughter, you know, like I miss her. And so I like it. I've never had those, like I've had a lot of emotions in my life. I'm a very emotionally forward person, but there are some things that with her I've never experienced before. And it's both scary, but also beautiful, right? Like it's transformative in a lot of ways. Like it really is.
They open up like a whole new door of feelings that you don't realize how much you can love something until they're there. And
that's exactly right.
It just gets worse. Like I watch films and movies and stuff, and something will happen to a child. Like I watched a film a while ago about the tsunami. I forget what happened. And there was a scene where this wave hits and she's battling back to get to her child, and it was really dramatic. I was like, I need to walk out. Like,
no, yeah, for real.
Because all I can see is myself in that situation. And I'm like, I'm panicking. This is awful.
Yep. No, I totally get that for sure. That's why I had to ease back on watching some of those crime documentaries where the kid goes missing for 3 weeks and then he ends up and it's like, okay, you know, like, like I love that shit. I do, because before I wanted to be a chef, I wanted to be a criminal analyst for the FBI. So I have like a huge lust for information when it comes to psychology and how the human mind works. But with knowledge comes knowledge, right? Like both good and bad. And so so I had to dial back watching some of those shows. But I love those kinds of like documentaries too. So it's like a 50-50 split. But you're right. You know, you really do have this part of you that you don't even know exists until you have specifically a baby girl. Like you could have a baby boy, but if you're a guy, you're a guy, right? And I feel like that's also transferable the other way. Like if you're a woman and you have a baby boy, it probably feels the same, like similar as for a guy who then has a baby girl coming in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like in a lot of ways where it's like you're attached to them, you want to protect them, you want to make sure they're safe all the time. Absolutely. You know? Yeah, it's a very strange pace, that's for sure. I've wore a lot of hats in my life, but never the dad hat.
It is. It's very rewarding at the same time, though.
It really is.
So to finish off, I've got 2 questions. So one is, right now, if you could recommend 5 streamers for the people that watch to go and check out, who would they be?
Well, right off the bat, right at the very top, Salvation 767. This guy is phenomenal. He is fucking phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that because he's a friend of mine or because he's a co-founder. He is genuinely a fantastic streamer. He engages with his community, or the community. I don't like really saying his or her community because we're all part of the same one, right? But he engages with the people who are in his chat, part of the community, very, very well. He's very funny. He's smart as fuck. He is so fucking smart. He always plays something that is entertaining or calm.
He's very good.
He's just a really great human being all the way around. And so I would say right off the top, him. The next person I would probably suggest would be another really good friend of mine in my mod. Her name is Purody. Yeah, Purody. I always say Purody, but it's Purody. I just call her Pur. She out of all the streamers, and I don't like comparing people's statistics, which I am one of those people who will go look up other people's analytics. I will. I'm sorry. I just will, because I love to see where people are at, and I won't like go back to them and be like, oh, this is what I found. I just want to see where they're at, you know. And with her, she has to be one of the best streamers for the follower counts I have ever seen in my life. She has barely under 350 followers, but she always can hold a stream with about 25 to 30 people. And that is just on the analytical side. She is amazingly smart. She is extremely resourceful. She's funny as fuck. She has this like this personality that when you're watching her on her stream, she teams a lot of confidence. But when me and her are talking outside the stream, she is just so human in so many ways, and she doubts herself when she shouldn't. And she's amazing. Like, she's just amazing all the way around. She comes up with these gimmicks on her stream that I've never seen before, and very inspiring of a lot of stuff that I do on my own stream. She's helped me a lot. I've only known her for about 2 months, and I feel like I've known her for like over a year or more. Like, she is just an amazing person and all, right? So that'd be my number 2. My number 3, honestly, there's so many streamers, but my number 3 would probably have to go to Guess Who's Gaming, just because of the fact that not only does this guy support me from day one, but he plays Apex Legends on a level of like a professional competitor. He is insane. He is tactically responsive, and he usually carries the team he's on, and he does not get enough credit. I usually will go into a stream and like he'll average about 3 or 4 people currently. The dude should be upward of like 30, 40 people at all times. He is phenomenal, and he's just such a good vibe, right? Like, he's calm. He's never like freaking out or flipping out on the screen. He's always level-headed. Like, I would definitely suggest Guess Who's Gaming. The last 2 people I would suggest would probably have to be, honestly, it's a gamble. It's a gamble because there's so many fucking good streamers.
You can leave it at the top 3 if it's easier.
No, I'm gonna go through with the top 5. Right off the top of my head, the 2 that come to mind would be Paige Senpai, because she's fucking fantastic. Absolute, just gem, right? She does great content. She has so many people, not only in her chat, but around her, that are just fantastic as well. But she herself is creative, smart, funny, you know, the whole fucking package, right? So I'd probably have to say Paige Senpai as well. And then on top of that, just to double up, Stormfrog. Stormfrog is fucking amazing, okay? Like, I love both of them. The brother-sister duo is so good. It was so amazing to meet them. But yeah, like, Stormfrog's an entertainer, just like Paige, but they're so duplicitous. You go on a Paige's stream, she's calm, she's funny, right? She's giggling it up, she's having her good time, doing the little ooh-woo thing, and just being her. You go to Frog's stream, and he's doing marbles dressed as in a suit, being like, all right, over here, we got this person. It's like, it's so good. And then when they collaborate, like they did that Lord of the Rings thing, and like, it just, they're both fantastic. So that would probably be my top 5. Sal, Per, Guess Who's Gaming, Paige Senpai, and Stormfrog. And like, to all you people watching this later, y'all are fucking fantastic. And this was a hard one to put together, but I'm not gonna lie. These 5 people, are like people that when I think of like fantastic streamers, I think of these 5 people, or people who like I look up to as streamers. I think of these 5 people, right? Like, obviously, I derive inspiration from so many people in the community, right? You got like your House of Clutches, your All Hell Keys, you got Demandra, you've got, you know, like Thicker Daddy, you got all these people who are both viewers, streamers, and the combination of both who are extremely inspiring. But these 5 people for sure definitely come to mind right off the bat.
Amazing choices. So my last question, and you touched on this earlier, in that you hit a lot of goals already for 2021. What is the goal for now, for 2021, rest of 2021? What is the main goal?
So do you want like a logistical goal, or do you want like what I deep down want to do? Because they're kind of different in a lot of ways. One is numbers, and the other one is like passion, I guess, so to say. So I'll let you choose that one, because I don't want to just ramble.
But tell you what, let's go with the passion one, because I guess numbers will take care of themselves if you're doing the passion side
That's
of things, right?
exactly
So
right. That's exactly right. I like that. I like that answer. Okay, so my passion right now, my goal for to complete the year is I want to try to get at least 15 to 20 more streamers past their goal that they expected to get at their end of their year, right?
yeah.
I've already helped a couple people get there with passive promotion, helping them with overlays. I want to help more streamers get to their goals because I've already reached a lot of my goals this year, right? So
Yeah.
like that's why I'm constantly saying in my streams, like if you need help with OBS, you need help with overlays, you need help with whatever it might be, you just need someone to talk to be like, hey man, like my head is not on right with this, and like I keep getting paranoid about X, Y, and Z. Please hit me up on Twitter. Please hit me up on Twitter, because I genuinely want to help, right? Like, so my goal for the end of the year is not some self-serving goal in any way, shape, or form. I want to help more people hit their goals. And that's kind of like, that's really big to me. It really is. And like, and I feel that with the success of other people, if I gain my own success, great. If I don't gain my own success, that's what it's not about personal success in any way, shape, or form. I want to help other people, plain and simple, right? Like, and that would probably be it. That would probably be the one big goal I have for the end of the year. I mean, I've already knocked out most of the ones that I really were thirsty for, right? And I'm probably, to be honest, I'm on the track of doubling those numbers by the end of the year. So if that happens, great. If it doesn't happen, okay, cool, right? I'm satisfied. Like I'm content with what I have, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm going to do regardless. But I want to help the people who are right now at 150 followers get to 400, 500, 600, whatever they need to do. I want to help the person who's like, dude, okay, my stream keeps fucking crashing 20 minutes in, and I'm losing follower counts now. I'm losing the people's attention. Like what can I do? Okay, get on Discord. Let's fucking crank this out, right? Like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm very passionate about completing by the end of the year, for sure.
Yeah. And one thing I would add to that is, if you are one of those people who Waffle just described, don't be scared to ask.
Please don't be scared to ask.
Nothing's going to change. Reach out. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I can't really help with that, but this guy can. Or
exactly.
I wouldn't necessarily go this way. Do this instead. Give this a try. Like, people
That's exactly
will help,
right.
but ask for it, because nobody's going to come at you and say, let me help with this, because no one wants to kind of tread on your toes.
Well,
if
that's
you ask
the thing.
for help, you think, hit them up.
That's right. And for me, if I see somebody direly struggling, I will hit them up. But I don't know if, like, there's a lot of people who are just silent about what they do, right? They'll kind of like suffer in silence in a sense. Speak the fuck up. Come help me help you so that you can progress. And and that's huge, like I know that's a huge step for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Just fucking do it, like don't be scared. I'm not some fucking celebrity. I am a dude. And like, that's why it feels so flattering. People are like, it's the Waffle. I'm like, no, I am just fucking me. Like, keep doing what you were doing 2 seconds ago. Like, I'm doing what I want to do. You're doing what you want to do. Like,
we're all just, at the end of the day, we're all just people that play video games.
Exactly.
And enjoy what we do. But every single person is different to the next.
That is exactly right.
If anybody struggles with kind of, or not that they should compare themselves with anybody, but if anybody thinks, well, I'm not as good as that guy, you don't need to be. You're the best version of you. You are you. And like we said at the start, be authentic, just be you. And no one can be a better you than yourself.
That is exactly fucking right. And that's why when people are like I've had so many people ask me like, dude, I was in your stream like 3 months ago and you had like 400 followers and this and that and so on and so forth. What did you do? What's your secret? I'm like, there's no secret. I am just me, because if I am not me, I'd be someone else, and I can't be someone else. I can only be fucking me, right? Like, so just
people
be you,
gravitate
right?
to the people that are similar to themselves as well. Like you'll have the loud and really over the top streamers, and they'll attract those types of personalities. And then you'll have the quieter guys who are a bit more reserved, and they'll attract like-minded people, because that's where people feel comfortable.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But there's
Birds of a
different
feather.
rates of growth. So if you shout louder, yes, you might grow that a little bit quicker. But there's nothing to say if you're a quieter person that you aren't going to grow equally as quick. It's all just about kind of just be you and enjoy it.
And on top of that, organic growth is key. You don't want like this whole follow for follow, like swarm me and I'll swarm you kind of thing. That might survive and push you for a month, 2 months, maybe even a year. But there will be a point where that fizzles out and you will drop. And that dramatic shelf could depress the fuck out of you. Like on a mental level, that will depress you because you feel like you're doing something wrong. So don't strive to do that. Don't strive to explode. Strive to just be you and hit the little goals you are trying to hit. You know what I'm saying? Don't strive to be like, I'm going to fucking be partner by the end of the year. No. Strive to like, I don't know, engage with X amount of people, get your average viewer count per month to month to like X number, right? Like things that are doable, but things that are also like something you could strive to and really kind of get thirsty for it in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a goal to have, by the way. The fact that you've hit yours and now you're setting goals to help other people is phenomenal. And it shows the type of person that you are.
I really appreciate that.
Waffle, I've had a brilliant time. That is, I think it's definitely the longest podcast we've had. And I feel like it could have gone for hours. It was such good fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you too. Yeah, I'm quite the talker, and like you've seen, very open about a lot of things. So I could sit here and ramble on forever. And I appreciate that you had me on here. It was very, very humbling in a lot of ways because I've seen that you've done other podcasts with other people that I do know, and I'm like, dude, this guy is killing it. These people, these podcasts, these interviews are amazing. You know what I'm saying? So when Mosey was like, hey, yo, like you could hit him up, I was like, Mosey, you don't have to do this. And then you're like, yeah, let's do this. I'm like, yes, okay, this is gonna be fucking sweet, you know. Like I was very excited to come do this because I like to share and I like to talk to people, and also I like to experience these things, right? Like experiencing new things is in my forte. So I really appreciate you having me on here. I really do.
Honestly, I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much.